Dare to enter Crow's Quill's books, where tales of forgotten realms and fearless souls come alive. Today's journey, Perigord, chapters 23 to 24, by Mark Lindsay. Will you uncover the truth hidden in the shadows? Chapter 23. Jason gasped and tried to sit up, but his body felt like one giant bruise. He was lying atop a leather chaise lounge with a blanket draped over him. The room was dimly lit, and his eyes were blurry. He was having trouble making out where he was. Every movement he made sent waves of pain throughout his body. He was so caught up in his own misery that he didn't even sense the figure as it entered the room. "Ah, you're awake." The voice sounded familiar, but it took him a moment to place it. Before he could respond, the figure stepped closer, bearing a tray of china. It was Ms. Jax. "Where am I?" Jason rasped. "The library, of course," Ms. Jax replied with a toothy grin. "What am I?" Jason asked, but before Ms. Jax could respond, another voice chimed in. "The same as me," Ulysses stated, walking casually into the room. He was now dressed as he usually was, in a tweed three-piece suit. Jason's face was a map of confusion. "And what's that?" Jason asked. "Not human," Ulysses replied casually, as he sat down opposite Jason and poured himself a cup of hot tea. "Are you being funny? Because the last thing I remember were two freaks pounding the shit out of me, and Selene..." Jason's eyes went wide. "Shit, Selene, where is she?" he yelled as he attempted to climb off the lounge. Ulysses waved him down. "Relax, slugger, she's asleep in the next room," Ulysses said. "I don't understand, Mr. Walker. Or is that a fake name too?" Jason said, slumping back. "Ulysses is a name I've acquired since my time here." "Here? What does that mean?" Jason demanded. "It means that the people from planet Earth aren't alone in the universe," Ulysses replied. "What?" All three of them turned to see Selene standing in the doorway. "Selene, I'm so pleased you could join us. Take a seat. This concerns you as well," Ulysses invited. "Have you lost your mind?" "Jason, tell me you're not buying what he's selling," Selene replied with frank disbelief. "You didn't see what I saw," Jason shot back. "I don't know what you think you saw, but..." Selene didn't finish her sentence, as Ulysses's face changed before her eyes, in both color and shape. Reptilian scales pushed forth from his skin, which changed to a pale green. His mouth widened, and eyes sank into his head and blinked a yellow cast. Ulysses's frame seemed to shrink within his suit, and long, slender arms grew forth from the cuffs of his sleeves. The hands were talons with small nodules protruding from the palms. The process took mere seconds, and the metamorphosis had the desired reaction in Selene, who, with the guiding hand of Miss Jax, slumped into the seat placed behind her. Selene's eyes never left Ulysses, who, despite his new form, continued to sip his tea. A sharp blue tongue darted out from his mouth every few seconds. Ulysses even appeared to be smiling. "Ms. Jax, please pour Selene a tea. I do believe she's still feeling a little faint." After filling Selene in on the events that had transpired after her blackout, the room fell quiet. Having let the information sink in, Selene seemed to take it rather well. "Who were they, and what did they want?" Selene asked Ulysses, who had changed back into his human form. "They, the two you refer to, are hired goons. The large one is Onyx, a nasty Runine. His race are mineral composites. Strix is a Siren. Her biology is similar to Earth's avian wildlife. They nearly always work together. As for the why, I'm sure it has something to do with Perigord," Ulysses said. "Heinrich, that's who you're talking about, right?" "Heinrich Perigord?" Jason asked. "That's correct," Ulysses said. "But he's been dead for centuries," Selene replied. "Did you see him die?" "No. And as for age, I'm well over 1,000 years myself, give or take a decade. Ms. Jax is older still," Ulysses said offhand. So, what about you, Mr. Walker? Are you from a planet of lizard men? Selene asked haughtily. Ulysses burst out laughing, and Ms. Jax issued a chuckle as well. That reptilian transformation I performed earlier for your benefit is just a teaser. I'm a Therian. We can pretty much change into whatever we want. This is limited to size and imagination, Ulysses said. Selene nodded, then pointed to Miss Jax. What about her? Selene questioned. Ms. Jax is from a planet with a heavy gravity and atmospheric pressure, like what you'd find at the bottom of the ocean. Her people have an amazing body density and strength. You mentioned the Hulk the other day. Well, Ms. Jax would destroy him, Ulysses said with a grin. Selene and Jason looked highly impressed by this revelation. Jason suddenly went quiet. Selene seemed to sense the change in his demeanor. What's the matter? She asked. What am I? And how did this happen to me? Does that mean my mum's an alien too? Jason said to Selene. Although the question was aimed at Ulysses. Your mum's human. I wasn't sure about you at first, but after watching you the past week and seeing your actions against Onyx and Strix, I'm positive that you're part Therian too, Ulysses said. Like you. Like me. How is that possible? Who's my father? Jason demanded. I don't know the answer to that, but I think that's a conversation for another day, Ulysses said solemnly. Jason sighed, then nodded. I agree, but we will continue this discussion, Jason said. Fair enough, Ulysses replied. How can there be aliens running around, yet no one knows? Selene interjected. Humanity has known for most of its history, Ms. Jax said. She's correct, you know. In every civilization there are tales of beings with great powers. Gods, demons, myths, legends, creatures that could fly and swim, boogeymen and monsters, Ulysses said. You're telling me our religions, fairy tales, and myths are based on alien beings living on Earth? Selene replied incredulously. In a nutshell, yes, Ulysses nodded. How many? Selene asked. Ulysses thought for a second before answering. A few thousand at a guess, and that's not including half-breeds, Ulysses replied. Both Selene and Jason looked at him quizzically. Those like Jason who are half-human, Ulysses added. How many half-breeds? Jason asked. How long is a piece of string? You're asking how many thousand alien beings have mated with humans over a few thousand years. Ulysses let the question remain open. How come there aren't more superpowered people running around? Nothing on the news or internet? Selene asked. We are all very careful not to expose ourselves. None of us want to end up on a steel gurney being dissected by the military, and not every alien has special abilities. Sometimes traits aren't passed on to children. Just like the child of a great musician doesn't necessarily have their parents' musical talent. Sometimes over generations, abilities are lessened or lost. You might find certain people with extrasensory perceptions. You mean like telekinesis or telepathy? Jason cut in. To name but a few. What about my abilities? How did you sense them? Jason asked. Believe it or not, it was when you first came in. Do you remember? Ulysses prompted. Jason mulled it over. When I first met you? No, before that. What was your first impression on arrival? Ulysses asked. I came in, walked down the stairs, touched one of the gargoyles, then met you, Jason recalled. That was the reason I approached you. I don't understand. Because I touched the gargoyle? Jason said, confused. No, because you saw the gargoyle. You've lost me, Jason said, puzzled. To nearly everyone, the library looks like, well, a regular run-of-the-mill library, boring, plain, ordinary. The fact that you could see it in its true form means you are different. Humans see what they want to see. Only those with special attributes tend to see the library as something truly special, Ulysses said. Then why can Selene see it as well? Jason asked. I don't know. Maybe it's because of you, Jason. Maybe she was able to see because you opened it up to her. How can you control who sees and who doesn't? Selene questioned. I can't. She does, Ulysses said. Mrs. Jax? How? Jason asked. No, not I, Ms. Jax replied. I don't understand, Selene said. I think I do. This place is alive, isn't it? Jason asked. Ulysses touched his finger to his nose. Very clever. How did you guess? The place gives off a vibe. It kind of makes sense. The library is always changing, isn't it? Moving, Jason said. I thought Perigord built it, Selene said. That's hard to explain. Jason, do you remember me telling you, don't believe everything you read or hear concerning Heinrich? This is one of those times. Heinrich discovered her, added to and enslaved her for a time. But times change, Ulysses said, a hardness to his tone. Mrs. Jax interrupted them with a polite clearing of her throat as she pointed to the clock on the wall. Ulysses checked his wristwatch and nodded. You're right, it's getting late and we have to get you home. Jason, do you mind leaving the information you liberated with us tonight? I would like to look through it. I promise we'll share anything we find, Ulysses said. No problem, Jason replied. What about us? What if they attack us at home? Selene interrupted. Trust me, tonight you'll be safe. That pair are off licking their wounds, and tomorrow I'll set up something a little more permanent, Ulysses replied. Both Jason and Selene looked slightly comforted by his words. Selene, your grandmother is aware of where you currently are, so you don't have to try and sneak in. However, Jason, I believe you can climb back in through your window without assistance, Ulysses said. The two teenagers looked taken aback, but before either one could answer, Ulysses cut them off. Save your questions for later. Ms. Jax will drive you home and I'll see you both tomorrow, Ulysses replied. After ensuring Selene arrived home safely, Jason thanked Ms. Jax and quietly let himself back into the house. Checking on his mum, who was sleeping soundly, Jason decided to have a quick shower and hit the sheets. Despite the late hour and the exhausting events of the night, it took him a while to close his eyes. Thoughts of gods and monsters ran through his head. Jason wondered if anything would ever be the same again. Chapter 24. When Jason awoke, his first thought was, what bloody day is it? Then it dawned on him. Shit, school. He glanced at his watch and cursed. Jumping from his bed, Jason changed quickly and raced downstairs. Stopping briefly in the kitchen for a piece of fruit, he flew out the door and ran toward school. I'm gonna be late, he mumbled, picking up his pace as he wove through the streets. Letting his mind drift, Jason's subconscious took over, and his body began to change subtly. Limbs lengthened, his feet spread within the confines of his footwear, and muscle fibers grew. Jason's gait lengthened, strengthened tendons and ligaments worked alongside powerful muscles, propelling him along at a breakneck speed. Not even aware it was happening at first, Jason leapt over a fire hydrant, clearing it easily and landing a couple of meters past it. He smiled with a joyful exuberance and thought to himself how fantastic this felt. His efforts were putting him under no strain. It was as if he were taking a leisurely stroll. Jason passed a young boy playing in his front yard. The boy stopped and stared, his mouth hung open as Jason whistled past. Jason caught the boy's reaction. Then he saw his reflection in the window of a parked car. His physical form had changed dramatically. An elongated face, sharp teeth lining his mouth, black eyes stared back unblinking. Long, pointed ears and a light tan skin finished his wild appearance. Without breaking his stride, Jason focused his will and attempted to forcibly reverse his change. Slowing his breathing, he concentrated and imagined himself transforming back. It took a bit of will, but Jason was able to morph back to his original form by the time he reached the school gates, which luckily were empty of witnesses. From across the street, however, a hooded figure watched as Jason entered the school grounds. Sprinting the length of the corridor, Jason checked his watch. Thank God, I still have a few minutes, he muttered as he burst through the classroom door, just as Mr. Rosenberg was calling the roll. "Ah, Mr. Page, thank you for gracing us with your presence." "Please take a seat," Mr. Rosenberg said wearily. Jason scanned the room and found Selene nestled up the back. She was patting the empty seat next to her. He made his way to her as Mr. Rosenberg finished calling the roll. "Hey, how are you feeling this morning? I kind of half expected you to stay home," Jason whispered. "I'm a little sore, but otherwise I'll live," Selene replied. "I'm feeling great. There was no way I was staying home today," Jason said. "Me too. I would have gone stir-crazy," Selene said. Suddenly, Mr. Rosenberg slammed a book down hard on Jason's desk, making them both jump in their seats. He looked down at them, an expression of disdain on his face. "Am I interrupting you two?" Mr. Rosenberg asked sarcastically. "I'm sorry, sir, I didn't mean to," Jason began. "Don't even bother. Just do your work and keep quiet," Mr. Rosenberg said as he walked back to his desk. "What was that about?" whispered Selene. "I don't know. He's been like this towards me for the past week," Jason replied. "Well, it's probably in your best interest if we keep our talking to a minimum." Jason nodded and pulled out his workbook. As soon as school was finished, Jason met Selene at the front gate. "Hey, what kept you?" he asked. "Oh, the usual." "And what would that be?" "Talking my way out of a detention," Selene said with a grin. "Again?" "Hey, it wasn't my fault," she said. "It never is," Jason said with a chuckle. "Are you right to head over to the library with me?" Selene looked a little uncomfortable. "What's the matter?" "We have to make a stop first," she said. "Where?" Jason asked. "My grandmother's," Selene said ominously. Jason and Selene sat at Ursula's table as the old woman silently poured them all tea. The only noise was the ticking of the old grandfather clock in the corner of the room. After serving them each a cup, she sat back in her chair and took a dainty sip of her own. "So, Jason, what species are you exactly?" Ursula asked matter-of-factly. Jason coughed, nearly spilling his tea. Selene simply looked at her grandmother with her mouth open. "I beg your pardon, ma'am. I didn't quite get that," Jason spluttered. "Oh, you heard me, young man. The real question you should be asking yourself is how and why is she asking me in the first place?" Ursula replied with a wry smile. Before either Jason or Selene could respond, Ursula placed a circular silver pendant on the table. The pair studied it closely. There was an image of a wolf surrounded by thorns, the same as the etching on the plaque in Plato's library. Selene picked it up and held it out to her grandmother. "What's this supposed to mean? And where did you get it?" she demanded. "I take it you've seen this image before," Ursula said. "At my house. I mean, my Uncle Plato's. There's a plaque that bears the same image, leading—" Jason was unable to finish his sentence as Selene kicked him under the table. Ursula saw this, but didn't pursue it. "Your uncle and I were members of a select organization, one that bore that emblem," Ursula stated. "And what organization would that be?" Jason asked. "The Guild of Wolves," Ursula replied. "The Guild of Wolves?" Selene and Jason repeated in unison. "That's right, dear. Our charter is to protect Perigord from the unknown and dangerous," Ursula said, taking a sip of her tea. Selene got up from her chair and stalked to the end of the room and back, her face a mask of mixed emotion. Jason and Ursula watched her expectantly. "So, you're telling me you've been a member of a secret society here in Perigord," Selene said. "Yes," Ursula replied. "And you don't feel bad for not telling me this?" Selene asked. "I'm telling you now, dear." "Only because somehow I'm involved and you have no other choice." "I'll admit the time of this conversation is not of my choosing, but I had full intentions of telling you after." Ursula sighed. "After? After what?" Selene demanded. "After your training, of course." "Training?" Selene replied confused. "That's right. There's no way you're taking over from me without properly being prepared." "I don't understand. I'm not going to be around forever, and it's only logical that my only heir take up the mantle of sentry for Perigord." Why do you think I keep you busy with unusual tasks and hobbies? You've been training me all this time? Selene asked. Ever since your mother died. That's exactly what we've been doing. Ursula turned to Jason. And if your uncle hadn't passed away, and your physiology changed so drastically, you would have been recruited as well, Ursula added. Like your plans for Selene, Jason said. That's right, but I'm afraid since the emergence of your birthright, Ulysses has other plans set for you now. How do you know about Ulysses? And me, for that matter. I wouldn't be worth my salt if I didn't know about everything and anything here in Perigord. Ulysses and I have an understanding, Ursula said. And what would that be? Jason asked. Let's just say our interests and motivations intersect, but the protection of Perigord is paramount to us all. So, you know all about Jason and Ulysses and what they are? Selene asked. I know Ulysses is not from Earth, and Jason also carries a special pedigree, but no, not the particulars of their heritage. I am aware there are others out there. I've seen them on occasion. The good, the bad, and the hideous, Ursula said with a chuckle. Do you know we were attacked last night? Selene asked. I do, as I know that brazen attack is only the start of something that has the potential to destroy Perigord. What about the book Selene gave you to translate? Is it of any help? Jason asked. I'm afraid most of the texts within are beyond my level of expertise. I'm hoping Ulysses can make out its ramblings, Ursula said, frustrated. Well, with the information we were able to get last night, hopefully we can start to make sense of exactly what's coming, Jason said. Ursula nodded and stood up from the table. I hope you're right, young man, but for now I think you two should be on your way. I know Ulysses is waiting on you. Good luck, Jason, Ursula said cryptically. Jason and Selene arrived at the library shortly after. Ulysses was waiting patiently for them both. How was your afternoon tea with Mrs. Jaeger? Ulysses inquired. Not what I was expecting, and to be honest, it still raises more questions than answers, Selene replied. Well, to be fair to Mrs. Jaeger, she has a lot to impart to you and a short time to do it. Why do I feel Jason and I are well and truly behind the 8 ball? Selene muttered. I don't know, Selene. You two seem to have a knack of catching on really quickly, Ulysses said with a smile. What now? Jason asked anxiously. Road trip, Ulysses said pointedly at Jason. What about Selene? She's going to be busy with Ms. Jax. Besides, this only concerns you, Ulysses said. Jason looked nervously at Selene, who gave him an encouraging nod. I'm ready, Jason exclaimed. Jason sat nervously in the passenger seat of the Jeep Wrangler as it bounced and jostled along the dirt trail. Ulysses kept a steady speed, expertly steering the vehicle through the forest. Where exactly are we going? Jason asked. You'll know when we get there, Ulysses replied, and that was the last thing he said during the drive. Jason gave up on conversation, realizing it was just his nerves wanting to break the tension. It was obvious Ulysses was off in his own head as well. Slumping back in his seat, Jason tried to enjoy the scenery. The rhythmic passing of the trees was definitely having a hypnotic effect on him. He could feel himself drifting off to sleep when all of a sudden, the Jeep came to a screeching halt. He sat up with a jerk and looked around. Grab your bongos, kid. We're here, Ulysses announced. Bongos, Jason repeated, but climbed out of the Jeep to check out this mysterious destination. They were parked in a small clearing of wild grass surrounded by a thick tree line. It was quiet and secluded, but otherwise unremarkable. I don't get it, what's so important about this place, Jason stated, unimpressed. It's not the place, but rather its location, Ulysses remarked. Jason shook his head. We're away from prying eyes, noise, and distraction. A good spot to begin your training, Ulysses continued. I get it, like Spider-Man. With great power comes great responsibility. This should be a snap, Jason said smugly. Ulysses didn't look too impressed with Jason's flippancy. I'll admit I was mildly impressed with the way you handled yourself last night. Mildly impressed? I kicked ass, Jason said. You were lucky. Lucky that Onyx and Strix were careless, but you'd better believe that won't happen again. Not to mention there are other dangers and threats that are waiting for us out there, Ulysses stressed. You make it sound like there are legions of bad guys preparing to attack, Jason replied dubiously. Not legions, but if enough decided to work together and take the library by force, then I shudder to think of the implications. Why would they want the library? Jason asked, clearly puzzled. Ulysses sighed, leaning against the bonnet of the Jeep. The library is more than just a storage depot for books. She is capable of so much more than that, and in the wrong hands. Well, I think that's better left for another discussion. Besides, we're here today because of you. Jason clearly didn't like the change in direction of their conversation, and decided they were going to continue with it at a later time. Okay, Yoda, where do we start? Jason asked. Who the hell is Yoda? Ulysses scoffed and turned his back on Jason. You're kidding, right? You've never heard of Yoda from Star. Jason didn't finish the sentence as Ulysses spun around and jumped at him. Long, slender arms and hideous, thin, talon-like hands reached for him. Ulysses's facial features had changed horribly, too. His nose had receded and was almost gone. The corners of his mouth had widened almost to the sides of the head, exposing dozens of long, needle-like teeth. The skin was cracked and had a yellowish hue to it, but the worst things were the eyes. They were too large and were as black as midnight. Holy shit! Jason shrieked as he threw himself back, landing on his backside, his arms held up defensively. The horrific-looking figure that had previously been Ulysses stopped in its tracks and began to chuckle, his body heaving as the laughter ripped through him. Jason slowly got to his feet, staring at Ulysses, who was now transforming back to his regular appearance, laughter still erupting from him. Jason's face had turned red with anger. You asshole! Jason exploded. I'm sorry, Ulysses responded, even though it was evident he wasn't. Why did you do that? Because you were acting cocky, and frankly it was pissing me off, Ulysses said plainly, wiping a tear from his eye. That seals today's tale in shadows. We hope Perigord has drawn you deeper into its enigma. Return soon to Crow's Quill's books, where the next chapter awaits, whispering secrets yet untold.